Hello guys. Welcome to Diablo the Primordial. This video is the continuation video after Rimuru vs Milam. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. And please check out my second channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. There is only one problem with your plan. As we have no idea how powerful Velda is, your safety isn't guaranteed. That was my only concern. Although Milam is one of the most powerful among us demon lords, isn't it still too dangerous for her to head into the heart of enemy territory alone? Wahahaha. Fret not, you can leave it to me to pinpoint the location. In other words, I'm gonna be a spy. I have studied, just for a moment like this. Stop worrying. Thinking back a little, she was watching a movie that was somewhat relevant. It was part of an experiment to crystallize the footage from my memories into a film. It was that movie from my memories, the one we extracted then. Milam was among them, the ones whose eyes were sparkling, which were also glued to the screen watching the story that was filled with riveting spy action. She ended up picking up some fairly unneeded knowledge. But, if you think about it, this is an unexpectedly good plan for our current situation. It's best to discuss the itty-bitty details, and decide on our course of action. But, before that. Seal, that is getting annoying, I want to disable Lucia first. Understood? Then. As per Ciel's explanation, I pieced together the relevant abilities in my head. And then. You've been getting really annoying since earlier on, time for you to learn who's in charge here. I intimidated Lucia with something suitable. Reading the situation, Milam also faked being blown away by a swing from my katana, and entered a state of not getting in my way. She's doing great there. Looking down upon Lucia, I thrust my right hand forward. There was actually no need for this movement, but theatrics are still important. Foo, you won't be able to penetrate my defenses no matter what you do. This is where the true worth of Castle Guard really lies. Is that so? But, let's see if you can still say the same after receiving this. After saying that, I began channeling Void God Azathoth. Turn null energies onto my right hand, and maintaining control of it. This was a lot harder to control than what I previously thought it would be. This stuff would cause a massive explosion if I were to release it as it is. This ain't the kind of stuff that's practically usable without Ciel's support. After seeing the ultra-compressed energy mass, there was an obvious change in expression even for Lucia. Even if she would be unharmed, there was no doubt the remainder of the Angel's army would get annihilated though. You fiend, it's pointless for you to do that. Even if you were to turn the surroundings into a wasteland, it won't accomplish anything. Silence, I get to decide if there's a point in doing this. Now are you done with your prayers before the afterlife? Bye. Offensive barrier, eternal pain. With the channeled energies, I activated a certain spell combination, shutting the screaming Lucia up. As experimented from before, activating magic using this energy instead of the normal elemental magic results in multiple times the usual resulting output. Such a spell, constructed using the ridiculous output of the turn null energies, headed towards Lucia. As she had utter confidence in her defenses, this was a major blunder for her. The spell successfully made contact with Lucia, without any resistance. Obviously, explosions or other direct forms of damage would not cause even a scratch whatsoever on Lucia. But, there was no need to cause damage to Lucia in the first place. As per Ciel, this is what you would call a change of perspective. There are no doubts that any kind of attack would have absolutely no effect. That ability activates an impregnable effect. No matter what kind of attack it is, all known effects that cause damage would be shut out. Which means, simply, be it a nuke or poison, regardless of the damage it would inflict, all of that stuff would be blocked. Even if I made use of Void God Azathoth, and launched a high-output attack, even if it was an attack that could destroy the stars, Lucia would survive in the end. She would survive even if she was in outer space. Well, that's also including the fact that she doesn't need to eat or breath as she is an angel, which is a spiritual entity. To sum it up, the fact is, there are no real means to defeat her as of now. But, that doesn't mean there are no loopholes. Castle Guard, with its highly reflexive nature, limits the user's actions while active. This can be seen as a demerit of the ability. For example, Castle Guard would activate and defend its user from say a sneak attack when the user is attacking something else. The user's own attack would get cancelled as well during that instance. To sum it up, Castle Guard gets full priority. So much to the point that it puts a restriction on even simple movement. Rudra was totally restricted on movement when Castle Guard was active. But as expected of Lucia, she is capable of walking and simple flight, but that was the limit for her. So I made use of that property. I surrounded Lucia with an offensive barrier that when triggered will constantly attack, limited to within a fixed space. So what happens when you apply an offensive trigger within a barrier? The answer is simple. Lucia would be restricted where she is, with Castle Guard constantly active. And the space around the barrier is locked as an extra effect, so her movement is also effectively restrained. With the spacetime properties added in, the effects would be sustained for a few hundred years. For such a simple barrier, the effects were pretty broken. Well, a fair amount of energy was poured into the spell. For me or Veldora, it would be possible to break through such a barrier with brute force if we don't mind taking some damage, but for someone who has Castle Guard forcefully activated constantly, this becomes a different story. Lucia too understands that if she were to deactivate Castle Guard, she would no doubt take a concentrated barrage of damage for doing so. The plan to totally restrain her has succeeded. It is unknown if she is able to deactivate Castle Guard manually or not, but in the event she does deactivate it and break through the offensive barrier, Eternal Pain, I only need to hit her with another even more powerful one. In terms of determining Lucia's capabilities, this attack of mine was an effective one. Anyway, it looks like Lucia is unable to break out of the offensive barrier, Eternal Pain. Phew, you shall twiddle your thumbs in there alone and in despair, for an eternity. I said that, as I struck a cool finishing pose. Lucia was screaming something in anger. But, as she was impeded by the barrier, her voice failed to reach me. My voice too doesn't reach Lucia, so taking advantage of that I taunted her with my pose. Offensive Barrier Eternal Pain was a spherical-shaped growth enchanted barrier. What that means is that whenever Lucia's Castle Guard makes contact with the barrier, small explosions would occur. The energy generated from the explosions is then reabsorbed into the barrier, and is used for the growth of the barrier to increase its strength. This was well thought out, a fearsome combination of nasty properties. Hats off to Seal there. Magnificent. Especially that pose at the end, it was perfect. That part? Seal showed no interest in the effects of the barrier or the results, as though they were invisible to her eyes. And instead, reacted to my taunting pose, showering it with praise. Kufufu. I expected no less from Rimuru-sama. I felt Diablo's praises too telepathically, and he too had no negative feedback about me. Though I kinda wanted to be praised for succeeding in activating the spell that Seal came up with on my first attempt. Well, now isn't the time to think of such luxuries. It's not like I know of any such beings who are close to me. I should be happy for now that nobody made jabs at me for the 8th grader syndrome-ish pose that I did. I discreetly breathed an empty sigh of relief. So that was how I succeeded in handily restraining Lucia. Shortly after, with the addition of Diablo, Milam and the two of us started our discussions. And of course, that was done while we were still in combat. That was done pretty damned skillfully if I were to say so myself. While we were doing that, I received word from Carrera telepathically, reporting that Vega got his ass handed to him by Gobta. Plus, he did it handily too. As expected of Gobta, he really showed his worth as his growth was one of the hardest to predict. Though I did give him the unique skill genius, False Wiseman, to think he was this capable. Seal gave Gobta her honest praise. I really want to question her, as to why she doesn't show such praise for me. And when did she give him the unique skill genius? Gobta and genius, False Wiseman, it's hard to tell if it actually fits him or not. Oh well, he is a genius of sorts. I did have a grasp on the abilities of everyone who had training of some form in the labyrinth. There were some parts that were unknown to me as Gobta did his training in secret. Even after considering the overall limits, it was predicted that he would have a hard battle with Vega as his opponent. But then, it's quite the feat for him to exceed CL's predictions as he has. Even if we assumed he managed to reach his highest potential, the prediction was that he would gain victory, but only marginally. Just what is Gobta made of? It probably was a tough battle. But after considering Gobta's personality, it may have just looked like he managed to get the victory handily. I shall leave it at that. Now then, we have come to a decision. First, I would take my leave from the battlefield, with my defeat. Rimuru, first up is for you to disappear. As per Milam's words, our plan was finalized. In other words, a plan where I play dead. Kufufu, this is going to cause quite the ruckus. Diablo happily snickered. For some reason, Seal suggested that we do not relay the information regarding my death to my remaining followers. This is a prime opportunity to smoke out the remaining problematic elements who are eluding us. That was the reason. Though I don't think there would be any traitors among my comrades, this is a good opportunity to gain knowledge about the plans of the other demon lords. And according to Seal, there is a chance of problems arising from the human countries. Be it the Western countries or the Empire, we have been forcefully keeping them in check. There might very well be some who hold discontent against us. Maybe it's the Empire soldiers who I revived, they might cause a rebellion after knowledge of my death reaches them. Won't this just cause greater confusion? Diablo's earlier reaction was the answer to my amazingly normal question. A cleansing storm would be whipped up upon the ones who would plan to rebel. Also, I kinda feel bad, as I'll be deceiving the others too. I said that as I was thinking how I'll be worrying the others. Kufufu, there won't be any problems, their happiness when they find out you are alive would be far greater. And, my pleas were declined as such. According to Milam's plan, saving Lucia after dealing with me, would get her the greatest amount of trust. In addition, it would lure Velda into lowering his guard, making him bolder and more complacent in his moves. The plan was gleefully accepted by everyone except me. And thus, a storm of great confusion would engulf the world. On just the first day of the Great War, major changes among the world's factions are about to occur. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And now's the time for the shoutout for the new member of Diablo's Demons. Thank you. Quoc Tran. And if you guys have not watched my earlier videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And please check out my other channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.